go then.
Oh, how do I get my name on the bottom like you?
Oh, this is a template thing. It's like yeah, I made it with the fucking what is it called? Not the template, the fucking like the layout thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how to add any more names to be
it's
honest.
okay.
Dude, I'm
I
so
got my
bad
name
at
up
this,
above me,
man.
so don't worry about it.
Yeah, you got it on your hat.
I got on my hat.
Everyone knows who you are. You know. They know who Soto is. Soto from the 619 is here with me today. Thanks again for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, dude. And we're gonna be going over WrestleMania 22. This is the WrestleMania from April 2006. But first, before we get started, Soto, for the people that live under a rock that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, your channels, what you do, and what you're all about.
For sure. I go by Soto619. I post wrestling previews and recaps. So anytime you miss a Raw, SmackDown, or a PLE, I try to get it to you in about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So that way you get the winners, the losers in a quick rundown. That's my biggest thing. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and of course other platforms. If you can find me at Soto619 or Soto619 Wrestling for the most part.
So, how'd you get started, like in all this, like wrestling talk on the internet, the IWC?
For sure. Um, so, long story short, I've been into this for 25 plus years, right? Um, and as a kid, I used to make videos based off of WWE.com. They would post, pictures, right? I didn't have the luxury to watch, PLEs like I do now. So I would view it in pictures. So I would pull all the pictures and I would pull all the music and I would just line it up with who won and who lost, trying to figure out how to make YouTube videos back in the day before, it was a thing. Never uploaded anything. I just did it for the fun of it. As time progressed, a year ago, we started in 2024 at Raw Day One. I went to the show here in San Diego. The Rock came out. That was the biggest thing. I posted it on TikTok. It blew up. And I had been talking about wanting to make content around wrestling. I just didn't know what to do. And that honestly gave me the push to say, all right, there's a community for this. And through that, I met a bunch of people and tried finding what I could post about. I started off with a little bit of reactions and finally found what I like to do, and I like to give recaps in a quick fashion because I'm busy. I'm sure everybody else is, and if you miss a show, an episode, you're like, "What's the quick rundown?" Right? What's my quick fix? All right, cool. It also helps me remember too because if I think what happened last Monday, what happened last Friday, or the week before that, I watch my recaps just to be like, all right, this happened, this happened, this happened. All right, cool. I remember. I know what's going down.
Damn, so you've been busy then, dude. Like I saw that recently. Were you in the holy shit? No, they go by the holy ish podcast. I don't think they actually say the word shit, right? But you were on there too, huh?
Yeah, I was on the Holy podcast. Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah,
Good.
those are buddies of mine too. I've
Of
been on
course. Good
there.
crew.
Yeah, they're cool people's. I think I'm gonna do something with them here pretty soon. Yeah, so I've been seeing you everywhere, dude. You've been really on your grind, dude. Yeah, I had a few people like reach out to me and be like, "Hey, have you hit up Soto yet?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I haven't." So yeah, man. So you pretty much take up like the entire show. You put it together in like a 1 2 minute clip. And I remember talking to you a few times, and you were like, "Man, like this shit takes a long time to do. Like I got to be here for like at least 3 4 hours to do it, man." So
Yeah. So you're not only, calculating the 2.5 to 3 hours that we're watching the show, right? Because Raw, SmackDown, depending on how long it is, and not including the Rumble, which was 4.5 hours that day. Watching the show, now I gotta edit the show, write the script, everything in quick time, get it done with it. Usually takes me about 3 to 4 hours to do all of my editing, get it out. So that's about a 7 to 8 hour night.
that's fucking wild. No, but I feel it, dude. I feel you,
Yeah.
man. I feel like I like I fucking spend way too much time on my computer too, dude. My wife gives me hella shit about it sometimes, but it's
Same
fun,
boat.
dude. I like to do it. Keeps me out of trouble and all that good stuff. So, yeah, more power to you, dude. I hope you keep it up and good things come.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, man. I do this for the fun of it, and to meet great people like you, and the Holy Shit podcast, and
Mhm.
everybody else. I just love that I'm in a community.
Yeah, dude. We're out here, dude. We're out here. Are you going to Mania?
Yeah, I actually am. I'll be there for both nights, and the entire weekend. So if anybody's going, hit me up. I'll
Yeah,
be
dude.
there. I'm driving in because I'm obviously in San Diego. I'm driving into Vegas. I'll be there Friday. Hopefully going to SmackDown Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Hopefully going to Raw. And then
And
coming
they
back
got
to.
an NXT event too that weekend.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with NXT. I don't really keep up with NXT too
Hmm.
too often. I'm pretty busy on Tuesdays, and I need to have my little breaks here and there.
No, is NXT on Tuesday? No, I think the NXT show is going to be that Saturday, but in the morning.
Right? No, I know what you meant. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
why I don't cover NXT overall is
Oh,
because
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
busy on Tuesdays. But yeah, I know they have their show on Saturday.
yeah.
But there's a lot of wrestling. It's not just WWE that I want to hit up. There's gonna be some GCW shows that I really am interested in, and I'm sure there's gonna be some other indie shows. I really like a lot of indie wrestling, so I'm trying to get more and more into that.
Dope. That's what's up, man. Well, let's get into it, man. Let's get into WrestleMania 22.
Let's do it.
Why did specifically did you pick this pay per view out of all of them?
All right. I think this one is a little bit obvious, but if you guys are familiar with WrestleMania 22, um, it's the very first WrestleMania where Rey Mysterio became a world heavyweight champion. And I know my name is Soto619. It's pretty obvious that I go for Rey Mysterio every single time. And I was there for his Hall of Fame induction at WrestleMania 39. Not too far in Hollywood. So yeah, this one as a 12-year-old boy at the time, being in that kid mindset, this was my favorite time. From the Royal Rumble, the time that he won that Royal Rumble, to the time he became the World Heavyweight Champion was just, the best moment for me as a kid.
So you were always a Rey Mysterio fan because he's from your hometown, I'm assuming, right?
Always, man.
Yeah.
He's always been my favorite.
Yeah, this time it was a crazy time. It was an important time in wrestling, and it was important for Rey Mysterio too because this was right after Eddie's passing.
Yeah,
Eddie Guerrero passed away in November of 2005, and Rey Mysterio won the World Heavyweight Championship, which we'll go over in a little bit. This was April 2006, so we're talking like November, December, like 5 months after Eddie Guerrero passed away, and it was one hell of a ride during this time in wrestling. So let's jump straight to it. Um, this was in Chicago, Illinois, the Allstate Arena. But I mean, they were saying it was in Chicago, but I think the Allstate Arena is technically not in Chicago. It's like near Chicago, but it's like in a different part of the state. But for some reason, WWE kept saying, "Oh, we're in Chicago," which I
right.
thought was weird. But this was a SmackDown and a Raw pay per view, which featured matches from both brands. A total of 11 matches. Um, Five of those matches were championship matches. Um, and this was also the last indoor WrestleMania. So like the last one that they did in the arenas before they went to,
Stadium.
stadium shows. Double main event and over 17,000 people for this pay per view, and yeah, that pretty much covers everything. Before we get into the matches, so let's get straight to it. So this was also labeled the big time.
Yes.
So it was the big time pay per view. So it was only right to start with Kane and the Big Show, who were the tag team champions at the time, and they faced Carlito and Chris Masters. Um, so my first question to you about this match is, what were your thoughts about specifically Chris Masters? Because I noticed that Chris Masters, he had the entrance, he had the pyro, he had the presentation, he had the look, and I don't remember ever being like a big fan of Chris Masters. I always thought he was kind of just there, you know. But what were your thoughts about Chris Masters during this time, if any?
Well, again, this is a long time ago, but I don't remember if his gimmick for the Master Lock was before this or after this. But my biggest memory from Chris Master was the Master Lock challenge, right? Him just annihilating people with that Master Lock challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So just from him, that just having that gimmick was cool. He was also he was a big dude, and he could definitely throw down with Big Show and Kane for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Carlito at that time was a different character than he is now, right? We have a funny Carlito nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
He was a lot more serious and a lot more, ready to get the job done. So him and Carlito, Chris Masters, were were a good team back in the day. That's what I remember. Going up against Kane and Big Show, I know they put on a pretty good match. And if you don't know this, this was actually Big Show's very first win at a WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I read something about that too while I was doing some research about this. Yeah, Big Show was another guy that I don't know. To me, he wasn't very threatening. Like you would assume someone like Big Show, his size, his weight. Whenever he showed up, it was just kind of like, yeah, it was kind of. I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't really take the Big Show as serious as one should for a guy being that size. So it doesn't surprise me that this was actually Big Show's. It was his first win at WrestleMania, right?
Right.
Yeah. So nah, not surprising at all there. Um, Now, what did you think about the match overall? Because I noticed that Kane, he was a little bit, he was pretty impressive in this opening match. He was doing a lot of high flying stuff actually. Like he did some drop kicks. He jumped off of the top rope down to the floor, and he was doing some crazy things. But not the most exciting, craziest match here to start off of WrestleMania. But what did you think about it?
Yeah, I remember watching it and rewatching it, sorry, and thinking the same thing. How could they start with this tag team match for a WrestleMania? I think nowadays we have different expectations, right? To start off with something that's gonna really just kick it off, right? Um, no, it was interesting because Kane actually got the pin. He pinned Chris Masters, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
Um, and it's funny because that's how Big Show got his first win, but he didn't actually pin anybody to get that win. You know what I mean?
No, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so the Big Show, Kane, fucking super heavyweights, a great, tag team or really dominant tag team. They retained the World Tag Team titles, but according to Chris Masters, he did an interview with Fightful like about a year ago, and they talked about this. And he was saying that him and Carlito were actually supposed to win that night
Oh,
and
interesting.
become tag team champions, but there was I guess there was a lot of things going on that made them or they decided to go with the finish. I guess it was a last minute thing. Up leading up to the main to WrestleMania, it was the plan was Chris Masters and Carlito. But I guess last minute they decided, well, we're gonna keep the titles on Kane and Big Show, because Chris Masters said not the Suicide Squad, the Spirit Squad was becoming a thing, I guess, at the time. So that affected their title run, and also they were going to turn Carlito babyface for some reason. I think was Carlito at the time. Was he getting cheered? I think he was. Like the people were like wanting to cheer for Carlito. I think.
So yeah,
So there was like a lot of weird things. Again, this is coming from Chris Masters, so I'm not sure how true that is, but yeah, what a lot of what ifs. So I mean, could you imagine Carlito and Chris Masters being tag team champions at that time? What do you think that would have been like?
Something interesting, right? I still think they could have had the Spirit Squad take it off of them. You know, have a little short run. Could have maybe had a different storyline for why Chris Masters and Carlito weren't together, type of thing.
Hmm.
I think they could have still done that.
I don't even remember them ever being a tag team, dude. That's the
Really?
yeah. Until I
I
saw it,
do.
I was like, "What the fuck? That's so weird." Like, it's just like an odd pair, but I guess they were a good tag team if you
Different
remember them.
different time, you know?
Yeah,
different different Carlito now.
yeah, for sure, dude. But yeah, that was the opening match. The second match, though, unlike the first match, the second match was the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Now that's what they should have
Oh,
started with. That is the match that should have
oh,
kicked off WrestleMania.
one of the craziest Money in the Banks. This was back when Money in the Bank was new. I think this was like the second Money in the Bank ladder match ever in
Yep.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, Edge is the
Um,
one that introduced. No, was it? No, was it Chris Jericho or Edge? I think it was Chris Jericho that introduced the Money in the Bank idea.
yeah, Chris Jericho takes credit for that. Yeah, I've heard about that too. But Edge, I believe, was the one that won the first one,
Yeah, the
right?
year prior, correct.
Yeah. So yeah, this match it would have been dope if they started off with this match, but it would have been hard for everyone else to follow this one because this match was crazy from the jump. Like all of the competitors in this match, as soon as the match started, they went straight to pulling the craziest stuff you will ever see, even today. Um, we had Matt Hardy, Shelton Benjamin, who was the Intercontinental Champion, Finley, Rob Van Dam, Bobby Lashley, Ric Flair. Yeah, those guys. It was six guys. Both were from Raw and from SmackDown, and it felt like every one of these guys were potential winners. Like you really didn't know who was gonna win this one, right?
Right, absolutely. The crowd favorite at the time for me though was RVD for sure. I've always loved high flyers, and RVD's always been one of them for me. So,
Yeah, RVD was definitely one of my favorites too. Um, fucking Ric Flair though, man.
dude, the way
Rick,
he just kept eating those falls, man, and he would not give up.
this was 20 years ago, and he was still really old. Like he was. They said I think he was like 54 during this time,
Ric
and
Flair has been old my entire life.
yeah, yeah, for real. So seeing him in this type of match was just weird to me. It was
Right.
like, I don't know, this is not okay. And then we'll talk about some of the other spots. Shelton Benjamin had amazing spots with the ladders. He doesn't get enough credit for doing the high flying stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't necessarily consider him a high flyer when I think about high flyers. So I think you're right because I definitely should consider him.
Yeah, man. Just going back to that iconic super kick front with Shawn Michaels, and then the thing that he did in this match with the ladder. I posted a clip on it on my
I saw it.
Instagram, and I remember watching that till this day. Is still, I remember that spot. So yeah, Shelton Benjamin was crazy, and people sometimes forget how crazy he was, but he was much younger back then, so he can get away with. Now I don't know if he can do that stuff. Um, but I want to talk about the Ric Flair spot because Ric Flair took a superplex by Matt Hardy from the ladder. And what did you think about this? Like when you were first watching it, if you remember, or when you rewatched it, what were your thoughts about that spot?
When I first watched it, I do not remember it happening. Um, when I rewatched it, I thought that's that man took a huge bump, and big props to him. You just for taking that bump at the time. If I'm not mistaken, he went to the back for a little bit to kind of just, I don't know, take a
Mm,
breather. Maybe it was for the storyline for them to be like, oh, it's down to the last five or whatnot. I don't really remember how they kind of pivoted.
yeah, they fucking after the big superplex, the both of the referees threw up the X, which you know what that means, right? The
Yeah,
X.
that really
So,
hurt.
well, yeah, when I rewatched it, I was like, "Oh, what the fuck? He's done." Like I believed it. I'm like, "This fool, this old man broke his back or his leg or something." They took him to the back, and then he comes back out after the match, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!" So even then, like, kind of reminds me of what they're doing now. You know, with the whole thing with the pile driver with Kevin Owens and the referees throwing up the X today. They were doing that back then too, but in storyline, So I think when the referees threw up the X with Ric Flair, it was part of the storyline. At least that's what I would like to. That's what I would like to think for his sake.
That's what I think so too.
Yeah, but it was still a brutal spot. Matt Hardy talked about this on his podcast a couple years ago when he said this was Ric Flair's idea, and Ric Flair specifically wanted Matt Hardy to do it, and he didn't trust anyone else but Matt Hardy to do the spot. So Matt Hardy, he has a lot of history with these ladder matches and stuff, but I don't know if I would trust anyone fucking giving me a superplex from that high up, especially being as old as Ric Flair, man. But um, yeah, who ended up winning this one?
Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, after I saw that Raw Van Dam one, I was like, okay, it's all starting to come back to me now.
What did I say on your post? I said this what is it? This Money in the Bank was one of a kind.
Oh, that's right. I didn't get it
Yeah.
at the time.
Oh, I thought you would have gotten it.
Nah, I
Damn.
didn't get it. I didn't get
Dang.
it.
Now you get it. Now you get
Yeah,
it.
I get what you're saying now. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so Rob Van Dam was the second winner of the Money in the Bank ever. Um,
Which led to one of the coolest cash-ins.
I don't remember, but why don't you tell us about it? Because I don't remember the cash in.
You don't remember how he took the hold on. This one was no, I remember the John Cena. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll think about it real quick because I remember that it was really cool that he cashed in and took it. I think I'm blending my Edge and John Cena moment.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah. Continue on while I remember.
Well, since this is WrestleMania, it was still a tradition to do the Hall of Fame ceremony, the Hall of Fame ceremonies even back then, right? And so Howard Finkel, he was the announcer, and he made a weird comment, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but he said Bret Hart was supposed to be in this Hall of Fame ceremony, but he did not show up because he felt uncomfortable. And I was like, well, that's something weird to announce. Like, that kind of seemed like a jab a little bit to Bret Hart. Do you remember anything about that or?
I do not remember anything about that. I saw a small clip about it actually today that you bring that up. Um, but at the time, as a kid, I guess I didn't really
Yeah, no.
think of anything of it. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. It kind of just goes over people's heads. And I think back then too, people are not that invested into like the dirt sheets and anything like that, like they are now. Like they are now.
Right.
But I did look into this. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" So I did look into it, and this has to do a lot with the Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels match that we'll get into later on. But I guess the legend goes is that Vince McMahon wanted to involve Bret Hart into the storyline, and Bret Hart refused. He didn't want to be a part. Bret Hart agreed to be a part of the Hall of Fame and be a part of the ceremony, but he did not want to work. He was like, I don't want to be a part of no matches. I don't want to be a part of no storylines. And when Vince McMahon kept pushing, Bret Hart just said, I'm just not going to go. I'm just not going to show up. So I guess Vince McMahon was a little bit bitter about that, and that's why they decided to put Bret Hart on blast like that. But I'm like, cool, this is some fucking interesting shit right here. I like learning about shit like that.
Yeah, of course.
um, so we had Bret Hart that was inducted in 2006 Hall of Fame. Eddie Guerrero, obviously, because this was 5 months after he passed away in November the previous year. Mean Gene, Sensational Sherry, Tony Atlas, the Blackjacks, and a celebrity inductee, the Fridge. Who the fuck is that? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
For a long time, and I think even some recently, I didn't know who a lot of these wrestlers were. Right? They were
Mm-hmm.
inducting a lot of older people,
Mm-hmm.
and I would learn a little bit from here and there. Right? They would do their little videos and all that stuff, and I'd watch wrestling a lot with my dad and my grandpa, and they'd be like, "Oh, I know that person," or "I remember that person growing up." Um, but
Yes.
me personally, I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of old people, I forgot to write it down, but Vern Gagne was also added to this Hall of Fame in 2006. I don't know how I missed that, but I remember because I'm like, holy shit, that's Vern Gagne. I mean, I've heard many stories about him and how he used to promote in the territories and all this stuff, but I never actually saw what he looked like until I rewatched this.
Got you.
Um, so that was really cool. Um, so going back to the whole Bret Hart thing. So another thing that I found when I was doing the research is that the match between Shawn and Vince was originally supposed to be Bret versus Vince, which is another reason
Mm,
why wanted nothing to do with that. Which later on, I think they ended up doing the Bret versus Vince match. I think in 2010, right?
later on, I remember.
Yeah. But that was supposed to happen at this WrestleMania. Obviously, the plans didn't go through, and it was Shawn Michaels versus Vince.
Which they put on a pretty good match.
Bret and Vince did.
I think so.
Oh man, I don't even think I watched that one.
Really? Dang.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get to that part on the later part.
yeah. So let's talk about the United
Oh,
States title match. Yeah,
my
go ahead.
bad. I meant Shawn Michaels versus Vince.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels versus Vince. We're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
talk about that one. That match was crazy, by the
Yeah, that
way.
match was crazy.
Um, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about that one. But the next match is the United States title match, which is Chris Benoit versus JBL. Um, these two guys, man, one of the most hard hitting guys that you can ever watch in the WWE. Um, snug, no pun intended, two snug wrestlers, Benoit and JBL. JBL was a major heel during this time because he was mocking Eddie Guerrero during the match, which is like, I don't know, was this? Do you think this was like in bad taste when you were watching this, or what did you think about that when
Well,
you saw
JBL's
that?
always been a crazy heel. When I say crazy, I mean he's always pushed the limits to it. And
Mhm.
I remember his whole immigration stuff when he was at the border.
Oh, the
Remember that,
border. Yeah, yeah,
dude? When
yeah.
he had that feud with Eddie, bro, that was intense. Hold on. I know this has nothing to do with WrestleMania, but since we're talking about that one clip, I remember being in the living room watching that clip and it feeling so real. And my mom, who doesn't watch wrestling, happened to just be there watching, and she was like, "That's so fucked up," right? Like, no, I can't watch this. And then I was like, "Yeah, it's scripted, but at the same time, it feels so real."
Yeah,
Anyways,
dude.
he does that. He's always pushed his character that way to where he just feels so real, and he's just pushing the boundaries.
Yeah. That's the type of shit that you don't forget. Like, I remember that clip that you're talking about, and I remember thinking like, where the fuck do they find these people, these Mexican people, to agree to do something like this? Like,
Pro-
um,
Probably in catering.
yeah, right. The people that were cleaning the bathrooms or something. But yeah, I remember that, and it's kind of crazy to talk about that now with all the shit that's happening right now with ice and things like that. Um, but man, that shit's real, man. They fucking there's a lot of reality to the stuff that they did back then, and even today too. You won't ever see that stuff nowadays, but yeah, man, they were really fucking pulling people's strings back then. It was a crazy time. So this thing with JBL when he was mocking Eddie, man, it was crazy. Randy Orton too was another one that he was talking a whole lot of shit right after Eddie passed away.
Bro, his line was so hard when he talked about Eddie. If I'm not mistaken, Randy's the one that said that Eddie was in hell, or if it was it, it was
Yeah,
Randy, right?
Eddie's
Damn that,
Eddie's yeah, Eddie's not looking at us from up above because he's in hell or something like that.
bro. That is another one where it's just like, oh, that one hurt. That one,
Fuck.
Eddie. Going back to Eddie real quick, Eddie was the first and only wrestler I've ever cried for when he passed away.
Yeah.
That one was hard. And then it was Bray Wyatt, but this one for sure.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember being really sad when that when that happened, and shortly after that, it wasn't too long after that that Chris Benoit passed away too, or he killed himself, I should say, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what's the
That one
proper
was
word to say it.
that one was the biggest shocker, obviously because of everything that went down. There was a lot of emotions in that one.
Yeah, so this pay per view was April 2006, and Benoit died June of 2007. So it was about April, May, a year and 2 months after this match with JBL. Chris Benoit died. So it was a year and 2 months after that. But no matter what people want to or how they feel about Chris Benoit, it was a shitty thing. But he was one hell of a wrestler. I don't know if I'll still get in trouble for saying that, but this match with JBL was another perfect example of a great wrestling match, I thought. But what did you think about the match?
I don't remember too much from the match, but um, I just remember Chris Benoit as a wrestler, and I can agree with your statement. As far as a wrestler in ring wise, he was a great wrestler.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, Chris Benoit did not get the win here. He lost the United States title versus JBL because JBL stole the win. JBL was doing his heelish things that he usually does and grabbed the ropes during the pin, and JBL walked away the new United States Championship. So that was the third match of the night, and we're moving on quickly because the next match, like the ladder match, this match, I think it's safe to say it topped it.
This next match was a hardcore match, and it was between Edge, who was with Lita at the time, versus the hardcore Mick Foley. And this match, I think, is my second favorite. If you were to say wrestling wise, like the show and everything, it was probably my first favorite of the night. But
Mm-hmm.
because Rey Mysterio became world champion, that tops it. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I think also the Sportster, which is like a pretty big, I guess, like wrestling website or whatever. They named this match the best match of the night, so this one got number one. And I think they might be right, man, because till this day, this is probably one of the most brutal hardcore matches I have ever seen. Um, this was a match where it was obviously that iconic um, flaming table spot that a lot of us will never forget. It just lives rent free in people's heads, and I'm glad that I got to go back and rewatch this and relive this whole thing because it was super super crazy. All the stuff that they used in this match was real. The barbed wire was real. The blood was real. Um, and these guys, they went all out. Like even Edge said it. Like they both had chips on their shoulders, Edge and Mick Foley, and they wanted to steal the show, and I think they did. Right?
Yeah, I remember that Edge wanted to be in the main event, and he was like, "Well, I'm going to make something so unforgettable that you're going to think that this was the main event." and they did. They stole the show 100%. They had thumbtacks. They had barbed wire. They had flaming tables, and I remember watching a video about it years later, but just on how bad that Mick Foley and Edge, they just burned themselves, and their hairs on their arms were just burnt off.
Mm-hmm.
It was a crazy match, but it was so good.
Mm-hmm. They beat the fuck out of each other, dude. I felt kind of bad for Edge. I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but like when the match ended, you can see Edge's face. His face expression says it all, dude. He was in shock
Yeah,
after
I
that
remember
tapes.
that.
Yeah, dude. Like his face expression was scary because he just went through hell basically, and that shit was real, man. They lost a lot of blood. Both of these guys, they set themselves on fucking fire. They hit each other with real barbed wire. And also, I found something that Edge said that I guess they signed a waiver before the match. WWE made
Interesting.
him sign a waiver saying they're not responsible for whatever. So this was a legit unsanctioned match, basically.
This was cool. This was like going back and looking at the history. This is a match that I would show, and it goes up there with Mick Foley versus Undertaker throwing him off the cage. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
This is definitely one of those matches that should be up there.
oh yeah,
If you were to show a non wrestling fan, like, this is something that's really cool.
oh yeah, for sure, dude. Ah man, I'm just kind of glad that we don't see those types of matches anymore, man, because it was scary, man.
Honestly, would be for it though.
Huh?
I'd be for another type of match like that. Something crazy and
I don't
just
know.
wild. It doesn't have to be all the time. It's just every once in a while. It's
Oh
been
man, you're
been
sick.
19 years, bro. 19 years since that match.
You're going to hell, dude. You're sick.
Take me to hell in a cell, and I'll see you in there.
Yeah, right. No, dude. I get like fucking scared now. I feel like if I ever see something like that again, dude. Like when I was a kid, I didn't care. When I was
Right.
a kid, I'm like, I don't, I don't care about what these guys actually do. But now, like, I feel bad for them sometimes. So I'm like, I can't. I don't know if I can watch it. But
Like WrestleMania 39, where Edge busted open Finn Balor on accident, throwing that ladder.
yeah, but see that it didn't look as bad.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. They weren't
Yeah,
intentionally trying to do it, but it was real, and
yeah, that
like, that was a big split. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like that wasn't supposed to happen. You know, which is different compared to like what Mick Foley and Edge did. Like they were supposed to bleed. They were supposed to do all these crazy things to each other. And there was one specific spot that Edge took the barbed wire bat and swung it straight to Mick Foley's head. And like I could just feel it because like if you get hit with barbed wire, I'm pretty sure it probably gets stuck on your skin and probably rips some skin off. And all you see is just all this blood coming down from Mick Foley's face. And I'm like, dude, you can't pay me $1 million to let some motherfucker hit me like that, with a barbed wire bat. I don't know, man. It was just this match was fucking insane, dude, to say the least.
It was a good match. It was crazy, but yeah.
Hmm. What else? So yeah, we talked about that. We talked about the waiver, real barbed wire. The flaming table spot too was pretty crazy because I remember right before, maybe not right before, but a few minutes before the spot, I don't know if it was Lita or Edge actually poured some lighter fluid on Mick Foley's back. So the Mick Foley had a little bit of lighter fluid on him already. Then they poured the lighter fluid on the table. They lit it on fire, and I thought Mick Foley's gonna literally catch on fire because he already had lighter fluid on him from before. Luckily, that wasn't the case. Luckily, as soon as they hit the table, the flames went out, but still, fucking ridiculous. Anything else that I'm missing about this hardcore match that you want to add?
No, I mean, I remember them talking about how they were just finding thumbtacks after the match, and it was just they had thumbtacks everywhere, from their face, their arms, everywhere that you could think of. They just
Their
had
ass
thumbtacks
crack, probably.
everywhere, bro. The freaking foot, like I just remember them talking about their thumbtacks. So it
Yeah.
was brutal, but it was a really good match, and
Yeah.
their table spot with that fire was a moment to never forget. That was definitely the WrestleMania moment.
Well, something that we can forget is Booker T versus the Boogeyman. Well, actually, no, it was Booker T and what was the Queen's name? Charmel, right?
Queen Charmel, yeah.
Charmel versus the Boogeyman in a handicap match. What the fuck, man? Why are we doing Booker T dirty like this? Putting him in a match like this one.
Well, you know what was crazy, and I think you might know this fact, but Boogeyman was already injured before the match, so they had to cut the match time for this.
Yeah, I did read something about that. That he was injured before, but Boogeyman still ended up winning this match, right? Yeah, he did win this match.
Yeah, he won this match. So you have the Boogeyman win this match, who's already injured, right? Obviously not on the script.
Hmm.
Um, but he beat a future world champion, and Boogeyman has never become a world champion.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand that, man. I don't get that treatment that Booker T was getting at the time. Um, and also, apparently, Booker T never won a WrestleMania match. Yeah,
Interesting. I didn't
yeah.
know that
So
one.
unlike the Big Show, um, Big Show got his win at WrestleMania, and at that time, no, not at that time. I think ever. I think what I read was that Booker T never won at WrestleMania, which I thought was crazy. However, even with all this being said, like the Boogeyman, who I guess at the time they were kind of taking him as like a serious competitor, like a real serious threat. He was undefeated. He beats Booker T, and even after all of that, Booker T says that this was one of his highlights in his whole entire career, getting beaten by the Boogeyman at WrestleMania.
Really?
That was straight from the horse's mouth. Booker T says that that was a highlight of his career, and I'm like, what?
I've met Boogeyman, and he's a cool guy. He's a cool dude.
Oh yeah,
Um,
what? Where at?
WrestleMania 39, WrestleCon.
Yeah, did you ask him if those were actual real worms, like shoot
Yeah,
worms?
no, they are real worms, and he still does it to this day.
What the fuck, man?
You can eat them.
Really?
You can eat worms.
I want to see you do it.
How much?
Nah. I didn't say that. How much would it take
How much would it take? I
for
don't
you
think
to
it'd be
eat a
that.
worm?
I don't think it'd be that pricey. I think pay for the rest of my WrestleMania trip.
What the fuck? That's hella money.
Well, I just need my SmackDown ticket, my Raw ticket, and that's it. Just my SmackDown and my Raw ticket.
Damn, that's a lot. Nah, dude, it's not worth it, man. Fuck that. Nah, yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why Booker T said that this was a highlight of his match because I guess him and the Boogeyman, Booker T and the Boogeyman, are actually really really good friends even at that time. So they got to work together. Um, it was Boogeyman's, I think, first WrestleMania, which was a big deal for him, for Boogeyman, and for Booker T. So being able to work a WrestleMania with one of his friends was the reason why Booker T said it was one of the highlights of his career. Regardless of Booker T losing to a character like Boogeyman and never winning WrestleMania, Booker T says that that was one of his favorite moments.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I guess you can't really be mad at that, but still, man, fucking insane. Um, the next match, and I know you probably remember this match a whole lot because of who's in it. Mickey James versus Trish Stratus.
These two, I love their feud. To be
I
honest,
bet you did. I
I
bet you
did.
did.
No, I did. These two, she was crazy, bro. Mickey James was crazy. Um, for Trish Stratus, right? She was just obsessed with Trish.
Yeah.
Everything Trish. She literally took her moves. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was before she actually made out with Trish Stratus in a segment
Oh yeah, I
that was
vaguely
shown
remember
on
that.
TV. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. Um, that one I got in trouble for. That one I got in trouble for that segment. I'm not even me.
Yeah. Yeah, Mickey James went a little gay there for Trish Stratus for a minute, right? They did
She
the
was
little lesbian angle action there for that angle, which at the time you still saw a lot of that really like sexualized kind of content type thing.
well, yeah, it was still the Divas era.
So it kind of fits with the times that what they were trying to do, like edgy stuff still during that time. But yeah, Trish Stratus was the current champion. Mickey James was a psycho fucking chick, which she did a really good job of playing that role too. By the way,
Very much so. Absolutely.
the
Also, I'm sorry, I've also met Mickey James. That one was at WrestleMania 31, also at WrestleCon, and she's a really cool person. So
nice, right on. Um, the only thing that I don't remember that was kind of crazy was Mickey James went over and she actually beat Trish Stratus at this WrestleMania, which I thought was crazy. Other than the lesbian part and the kissing that you remember, what else do you remember about this match or the storyline leading up to it?
like I said, the biggest thing that I remember is her just being so obsessed with Trish Stratus that she would take her moves, right? And just being so psychotic and obsessed with her. And I remember she was just at the hip of Trish Stratus, and then Trish Stratus was like trying to kind of get away and break away. And Mickey James was not for that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember them just throwing down. I don't remember too much from this match, but I do remember Mickey James winning and becoming women's champion.
Yeah, and apparently this match, it was the idea was given to Trish Stratus. I guess Mickey James, she did an interview a couple years ago, also talking about this match and how she pitched this idea originally for her, Mickey James, and for Lita. And I guess, the WWE creative took it and they're like, nah, let's do it with Trish Stratus instead. Because I think Lita was involved with like the whole thing with Edge and she was really involved in that storyline.
Right.
Um, but yeah, this was originally supposed to be for Lita, which I thought, now that I think about it, it probably would have worked out too. Either way, Mickey James and Lita probably could have had a pretty good match with a storyline like this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I still loved Mickey James' character though. I wish that she would bring that psychoticness back. I know she makes appearances from time to time, but I miss when she was kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, the last thing that we can add about this is, according to Trish Stratus, they got a standing ovation. Her and Mickey James, from all the people in the back at Gorilla after this match, they're really happy with the match that these two women had, and they're just trying to get away from the bra and panties matches and the goofy women's matches, and these two women are actually being taken seriously. So that was really good to hear about this match. So this match between Mickey James and Trish Stratus was actually pretty fucking solid. If you go back, I think they went like a little over 10 minutes or something like that. So definitely a good women's match.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you bring that up. How they were trying to get away from it, and I know that they were starting to, but to then have a Playboy pillow fight match in the same WrestleMania
Let's just talk about it
kind of
because
contradicts it. But
yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get
Okay,
there.
fine. All right, fine, fine. I just wanted to get it out the way, but all right. The casket match: The Undertaker versus Mark Henry. This Mark Henry was a older Mark Henry, a meaner Mark Henry, a more serious Mark Henry. This wasn't the sexual chocolate that was, sleeping with old ladies and giving birth to hands or whatever the fuck he was doing back then. So he was a more believable guy. You know, for a second, I actually thought he had a chance to take down the Undertaker, but it's WrestleMania, so as we all know, Undertaker doesn't lose in WrestleMania until years later. But this match, however, was a little, yeah, I don't know, it was kind of rough to me. But what did you think about this match overall?
A little slower paced, but Undertaker did take some of those cool leaps, especially him jumping over the coffin. That was a pretty cool moment seeing
Hmm.
him do that. Um, yeah, man, Mark Henry's a big dude, and able to do some moments where he's able to, Undertaker's able to pick up Mark Henry briefly, but still capitalize and get the win and keep that undefeated streak.
Yeah, he did. Undertaker was 14-0 after he picked up the much bigger Mark Henry for a tombstone. Somehow managed to roll his big ass into the casket. But the funny thing about this is like post match, so like in between matches when this match was over until like the next match in between, Mark Henry had to stay in the casket for like he said it was specifically exactly 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Mark Henry remembers this. He was counting the time because he's really claustrophobic. Is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
you're pretty much there. Claustrophobic. Yep,
Yeah, you know what I mean. Sorry,
I
I'm
got you.
Mexican. I have a bad accent
Hey, me
sometimes.
too. That's no excuse.
For all the people that are listening, don't make fun of my accent. But yeah. So I thought that was really funny that Mark Henry he told that story in the Undertaker's podcast. What was that, Puerto Rican hat or something?
Yeah,
Thought you were Mexican.
I'm Mexican.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I got the best of three worlds, man.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, dude. And fuck, I think that's pretty much it for this match. It was pretty straightforward. The match wasn't very long. It wasn't for a casket match. It didn't really have a whole lot of like oomph to it. You know.
Right. It's not
Yeah.
one of the top matches that I would consider for Undertaker at a WrestleMania, but it was a casket match, and it was against a big dude like Mark Henry, and Mark Henry always deserves his flowers and always puts on you know, a good match.
Yeah, for sure. All right, this next match was really fucking crazy. Also, um, yeah, Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon in a was this called a street fight or a hardcore match? I don't remember, but it was no
This one was a
disqualifications,
no holds barred match.
no holds barred, and the feud leading up to this was insane because this was literally the definition of long term storytelling in this match.
Yes.
They brought back a whole bunch of old stuff, going back all the way to the Montreal screw job. Um, do you remember the Kiss My Ass Club?
I do. I do. It was the funniest
Unfortunately.
thing at the time, but it was also gross.
Yeah, they actually showed that on TV.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing lots of people being put in the Kiss My Ass Club.
Yeah, some people were definitely not kissing the ass and they were in the ass.
Oh, god damn it.
Oh man.
Oh, god. Okay. I, I remember Rikishi was one of them, right? Was he?
Rikishi was one that delivered one to Vince.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels was one that was in the Kiss My Ass Club. William Regal was another one.
William Regal was one of the funniest ones because I remember he had his eyes closed and he just like slowly did it. That was a
Yeah.
funny one.
Um, I think they tried to get The Rock, but then The Rock ended up low blowing Vince McMahon,
Oh,
I think.
I do remember the low blow. Yes.
Was Kurt Angle one?
I don't remember Kurt Angle.
Do you remember anyone else that was in the Kiss My Ass Club? I feel like there was a lot of people.
Um, if anything, it was people from the back. I don't remember who. We have to get a list, man. That should be another segment that we do.
Yeah.
I'd be down to jump on for a segment like that.
All right, I
That
think we're gonna have
actually,
to do that.
That actually no, that needs to be a video that we create and put out. That yeah, we're gonna do the Kiss My Ass Club just to bring it back. It could be also controversial because of the whole Vince McMahon thing, but it's also a funny club.
Yeah, dude. Do it, dude. Hey, do it, man. You should. Do your
Right.
magic when you put your clips together. Hey, you guys remember the Kiss My Ass Club? Here's a list of all the members. I don't know, dude. That should be funny though. But yeah, that was really big during this time in this feud with Shawn Michaels. Vince McMahon was just the nastiest fucking heel in the game during this time. Like, just the worst of the worst. He was threatening Shawn Michaels with screwing Shawn Michaels the same way that he screwed Brett, which I think the fact that they were going back to the Montreal screw job a lot was the reason why Vince McMahon wanted to bring Bret Hart into this feud. You know, because it makes sense if you think about it. I'm going to screw you the way that I screwed Bret, and then Bret shows up and he interferes in the match or whatever. It would have been cool to see, but Bret was not having none of that at the time. I don't think he was getting along with Shawn Michaels. But they still threw Bret into that storyline, which I thought was pretty unnecessary. But man, they just did not give a fuck at that time.
This match, talking about the match, it had some pretty cool spots that I really enjoyed. Seeing Shane McMahon jump in, we not that I enjoyed, but we had the Spirit Squad also jump in because they were really connected to Vince McMahon at the time. It was also the introduction or reintroduction, my bad, reintroduction of D Generation X. We saw Shawn Michaels hit the chop, and that was another cool segment.
Because
Um,
I think after this is when they got back together, right?
correct, yes, and they
Mm,
continued their feud with Vince. Um, but yeah,
interesting.
we saw him hit the chop. We saw the trash can go over Vince McMahon onto a table just to then be crushed by Shawn Michaels on top of the ladder going on. That was a
Yeah,
cool moment.
yeah. Vince McMahon, he was in great shape during this time, and he took a lot of damage too. Which, kind of looking back now, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, the match was, I feel like it was a pretty long match. I can't remember the specific time, but it was for sure over 15 minutes. So I'm like, Vince McMahon, of all people, went 15 minutes blow for blow versus Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, man.
It's kind of fun seeing the boss get beat up, though. Mr.
Mm-hmm.
McMahon, the heel, he's always been a heel. So seeing him get thrown around and beaten up is it's always a good time to watch.
How did you feel about Vince McMahon's performance overall during this match? Like his work, his selling. What did you think about that?
Well, Mr. McMahon is always oversells sometimes, a little too dramatic sometimes, or sometimes he does his botches. But honestly, can't remember his full performance.
Yeah, it was bad, dude.
Yeah,
It was bad. Vince McMahon, he's just the worst seller ever. I think.
he oversells. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
he oversells or he just
Hmm.
undersells. One or the other. There's no
Yeah.
between.
So other than that, Shawn Michaels, he kept his promises. He said he was going to beat the crap out of Vince McMahon, and he did. You know, he's going to go through to like these dark places that he's never gone before with this, with the weapons and stuff. And he did, man. He fucking beat the crap out of Vince McMahon. So that was cool to see. Shawn Michaels won after the big elbow drop from the ladder down to the table. Um, who was it? Pro Wrestling Illustrated actually named this match of the year for 2006.
What?
Yeah,
Over the Edge and Mick Foley?
match of the year. Yep.
Vince definitely had something to do with that.
Yeah, probably, dude. I don't think it was better than Edge versus Mick Foley, but it was close to it, man. It was close to it. So I do got to give Sean and Vince props for that because the match was actually not as bad. Like Shawn Michaels can make anyone look good,
Of course.
and he made Vince McMahon look really good in this match. So I think the match itself and also the feud leading up to it, I think that's probably a big reason why it was named Match of the Year.
The storyline, yeah,
The
I see
storyline
it.
and everything. So, yeah, definitely a match that people should go back and look to. And now we're moving on to the main events. This was a double main event pay per view. The first one was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Kurt Angle was a current World Heavyweight Champion versus Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. Now, this is the reason why we picked this one. So let me have it, Soto. What do you remember from this match, and anything that stood out to you from the match itself?
Well, leading up to the match, right? Ray won the Royal Rumble in honor of Eddie Guerrero. I know we briefly talked about that. He then went one on one again before WrestleMania against Randy Orton, where he put his where he put his WrestleMania spot on the line against Randy Orton, and lost. Randy Orton beat him, right? So then it was now Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle, and that crushed me, bro. Leading up to WrestleMania, I was like, no, like that's your moment, bro, and you gave it up. I'm like, what do you have to gain? I remember being so mad because I'm
You were
like
supposed to do it for Eddie.
like Ray, what were you gonna gain from all you're throwing is your WrestleMania moment? Like, what are you gonna gain from beating Randy? Um, mind you, Ray threw Randy over to win the Royal Rumble, so that's kind of what pushed their feud. But thanks to Teddy Long, he didn't make Rey Mysterio go one on one with the Undertaker, but he threw him in to a triple threat match for Kurt Angle and Randy Orton, and I just remember being super hyped for this. This was like one of the first WrestleManias that I remember watching live with my grandpa, just at his house. It was just me and him, um, and of course cheering for Ray, and then seeing POD come on, and I'm like, bro, like he's got to win. We're hearing the live song, from POD.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got to win, man. He's got to do it for Eddie too. And then he comes out and he has all this Aztec gear, looking super cool, dripped out with the with the headpiece and everything. It's just super cool. Um, the match itself is not that long of a match. It's only about 9 minutes long, from
Mm-hmm.
bell to bell. About 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty fast. World title match, especially for a triple threat match. But I was when I reading back on it, I guess some of the matches beforehand ate up some of that time, so
Mm-hmm.
they kind of cut down this triple threat match. Um, but this match overall, I like the storytelling that they still did within it. Right, uh, Ray got the pin over Randy Orton, right? So, or
I
was it
don't
Kurt Angle?
remember specifically
I
who it
Yeah, it was.
was, but it makes
Yeah,
sense if it was Randy Orton.
I'm pretty sure it was Randy, and then Kurt Angle jumped in. Yeah, it was Randy at the very last second.
Dude, talk about one hell of a fucking emotional ass roller coaster ride, dude. Even from the beginning. I mean, Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble. This was January of 2006 when Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble, literally 2 months after Eddie Guerrero passed away. In a really big, heartfelt moment when Rey Mysterio won, dedicating the win to Eddie Guerrero. And, we're all expecting Rey Mysterio to go to WrestleMania. He loses his opportunity to Randy Orton, of all people. The guy that Rey Mysterio eliminated at the Rumble. And everyone's all heartbroken now. Teddy Long gives him this opportunity again. And it just seems like one of those things that's like a miracle just happened. Rey Mysterio was not supposed to go, but by some miracle, he's going now to WrestleMania. And then he goes and he wins it. So it was a very emotional time in wrestling. Rey Mysterio being 175 pounds, winning the World Heavyweight Championship was also crazy. Um, I don't remember too much about this. Maybe the version in Peacock was piped they had like crowd noise piped in. But I read something somewhere, and maybe you know more about this, that the crowd reaction when Rey Mysterio won was not the reaction that the WWE expected. Like, I think some
Ooh.
people were actually booing the fact that Rey Mysterio had won it.
Oh,
Do
interesting.
you
I didn't know
remember
that.
any? Yeah,
No, I don't. I was too hyped, and I remember calling my dad because he wasn't around, and I remember calling him and telling him that he won. So I honestly don't remember. I was too excited as a kid.
yeah, for sure, man. If that's true, I don't understand why how anyone would hate on it. Fuck, he did it for Eddie Guerrero, you know. So how can you be mad at that? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So
Yeah. Real quick, you know how everybody loves "My Way" by Limp Bizkit because it reminds them of The Rock and Stone Cold for
yeah,
WrestleMania. "I Dare You" by Shinedown always reminds me of the Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle and Randy Orton promo right before this WrestleMania match started.
damn. So that's like your like nostalgia song,
That's
like
yeah, that's my way. Well, I was there around for the my way too, so that's also
yeah.
it's up there.
That's what's up. Yeah, I love like when I randomly hear those songs and it just takes me back, and then you just remember those video packages. Like,
Yeah,
oh shit, that was when that happened. You know?
yeah. There are a couple fun facts too about this match. We saw little Dominic Mysterio in the crowd that night after Rey Mysterio won, so they actually panned the camera to Dom and obviously his wife Angie and Aaliyah. His,
Mm-hmm.
but we see a little Dominic Mysterio. So if I'm not mistaken, that is his WrestleMania camera like appearance, like debut. If I'm not mistaken,
His first one?
I believe so.
No, because he was before that he was in the Dominic Mysterio fucking
Right, that was for SummerSlam.
yeah, the what is that match called?
The custody of Dom,
The
right? But
custody
I'm
of
saying his WrestleMania debut
oh
camera shot.
WrestleMania. Yes, 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 for sure. His
I
first
believe this was his first camera shot
yeah.
for WrestleMania
Oh, okay,
22.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And
But
then
yeah.
after the match, we had Vicky and Chavo who were there to congratulate Ray for the world title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, embracing good old Ray for winning it. Um, yeah, dude. But you're right. How this match was really short. They had to cut it short. They had 21 minutes total, including the entrances. Kurt Angle had 2 minutes. Randy Orton had 2 minutes. Rey Mysterio had like I think he said
Like
like eight
like four,
minutes.
really? That
Yeah,
was long.
yeah. Rey Mysterio's entrance was super long,
I
so
liked
that's
it.
like yeah, so that's like 12 minutes already. So the match itself was only like 9 minutes. But they had a lot more stuff planned for the match, but since they had to cut it, the match, according to Kurt Angle, he talked about that. He talked about this on his podcast a few years ago. He said that the match was more higher paced. It was more intense. There was like more urgency there. So in a way, it kind of made the match a little bit
Exciting.
more yeah, more exciting in a way. So I think it all worked out in the end.
Well, I'm happy with the winner. So
Yeah, I bet. All right. I'm gonna let you tell us about this one because I
yeah, for
honestly I
sure.
skipped this one, and this
That's
is that
okay.
the bra and panties or whatever that they were doing. What is it called?
It's the Playboy pillow fight between Tori Wilson versus Candice Michelle, and this match is about 4 minutes long. So it's a very quick match. It was a match that was just a transitional match in between the World Heavyweight Title and the WWE Title. Um, but the winner was Tori Wilson. She's the one who defeated Candice Michelle. There's not too much about the match other than this fun fact that I have that I love to share, even without doing this podcast. I've shared there's a lot, and it needs to be known. But the very last WrestleMania for a singles women um, to go one on one in a non-title match was WrestleMania 22. Now think about that. We are about to approach WrestleMania 41. That is 19 years ago where we haven't had a singles. We've had non-title matches. We've had tag team non-title matches. We've had mixed non-title matches. We've had those. But a singles women's non-title match at a WrestleMania, this was the last one, WrestleMania 22. And I think that's important
Mm.
to know. And you weren't considering on talking about it, but it is an important match to bring up because of the fact that we haven't seen two women go at it one on one for a non-titles match, and it needs to happen. It's way overdue. 19 years is way too long, and I think and I hope that this year at WrestleMania 41 is the WrestleMania that we get a non-titles one-on-one singles match for women.
Wow, that is an interesting fact there, because I didn't think there was anything here with this match. I thought this was just like a filler match, just like whatever, you know. But that is a really important fact. The fact that no other singles matches between two women have happened at
Non-title.
WrestleMania, non-title hasn't happened at WrestleMania. That's pretty crazy. Um, who do you think, or who would you like to see break that record? First of all, how do you even know that? How,
That so I've been interested in the women's division for a while, and just that's just a fun fact that I came over within the last year, and ever since learning that fact, I wanted to do some digging, ensure that that was it. And yeah, I've looked back. There's been mixed tag teams, and all that stuff. So um, every single one on one has been for a title, and that's great and all. But women deserve more than that, right? Men have way more one on one matches without the title.
yeah.
We've talked about one, two, at least two matches, three matches on this WrestleMania alone with there was no titles on the line.
Mm, yeah,
You
that's
know,
true. Yeah, that's important. And maybe now that we're mentioning it, maybe we'll get more people to mention it. Yeah.
four matches. My bad. Four matches that were non-titles for men. So yeah, it's important. You were asking me who do I think should be it. I think we need to figure out what happened with Jade Cargill, and if it ends up being Jade versus Bianca, that'd be the match that I've been wanting to see since WrestleMania 40. Um, I just want to see those two throw down. We have Jordan Grace now, who has transitioned from a TNA superstar to an official WWE superstar under contract. So I think it'd be cool to see her throw down. Um, there's a lot of women that can definitely throw down, and I hope that it doesn't get taken by the mid card women. Not that they don't deserve their WrestleMania spot. I need to see a non-title women's match
At WrestleMania.
at WrestleMania.
Hell yeah.
Singles.
I would be down to see that. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I would be down to see that because that would also mean that they would have to take the time and build something important.
Absolutely. They deserve it.
Hell yeah. Well, shit, man. Now I'm excited to see what they if they do something with that, man.
Yeah,
So
I hope we continue to push that fun fact around and bring it to light because the women deserve more action, more you
I
know.
wonder if they know this. They know this
Well,
fact. We gotta push it out there more. You know.
we do. And this was more so a gimmick match, right? Because it was a Playboy pillow fight match, right? It was just like I said, a filler match, something in between. The world title matches. You said it was a co-main event, and this is technically a co-main event. It's a right. It's right in between the two world title matches.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
I don't know,
so
like if they did this just to be like, oh, we can't have two titles matches back to back or two main events back to back, so let's
right,
put this in there.
right.
And the Sportster actually named this match, the women's match, the worst match of the night.
Yeah, it was nothing too nothing like I don't even remember too much from it. Right, it was a quick match. It was just something. It was a filler match. So everywhere, one got up after the world title match and went to the bathroom and whatever. But I think it's an important match for now in history, looking back at it 19 years ago, because of what hasn't happened, and that's why it's
Hell
important.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, yeah, for sure, man. Well, I'm glad that we didn't skip it then. That's interesting. Well, let's go to the main event, the second main event. Triple
Yes,
H versus John Cena. These guys went over 20 minutes in this match. I think this match was like 24 minutes for the ugliest fucking belt ever made in WWE history. I would have just been like, you know what? Here, just take this thing. I don't want it. I'm not gonna fight anyone for this thing. Just take it. Just take it. But did you like that belt, by the way?
As a kid, I liked it for sure. As an adult, I appreciate it because it was my childhood. Um, but yeah, it wasn't to me. It wasn't ugly, but you know, it's up to
Okay.
opinion. Yeah, hey,
I
that's your
guess
opinion. You're valid for it.
I'm the only one that hates that belt, man. I never liked it. Everyone loves it, but because this is WrestleMania, they went all out with the entrances. Triple H had a crazy entrance. John Cena had a weird 1950s fucking gangster entrance theme.
Yeah, and we had a special debut for that WrestleMania.
A debut?
Yeah, debut.
Who?
CM Punk.
He did?
CM Punk yeah, he was in the entrance um for John Cena.
No way. How
You want to
the fuck
rewatch
did
it?
I miss that?
You want to rewatch it? Pull it
Yeah,
up.
I will. I will. Let me see.
It's really quick. So, but yeah, CM Punk is in that entrance. He's on the car. He's riding the car, and that's the very first time you actually see CM Punk
You know
show up.
what? Now that I think about it, I remember seeing it in the entrance and being like, "Oh, that guy looks familiar," but like I didn't put two and two together. I thought I was just like tripping or something. Like it was just like it just went over my head or something.
Who's that?
Oh right, that's funny.
Yeah. So I think that's an important moment too.
Hell yeah, dude.
And they were in Chicago.
Ah, that's right. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
See, I know sometimes like I don't go with my gut, you know, and I'm like I had a feeling I'm like cuz it was like I feel like a split second, right? I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, it
that
was a
looked
brief
familiar."
moment.
Yeah.
He was walking around the ring with the Tommy gun, just with some other people too. But
And I was like, "That guy looks familiar," but I didn't put two and two. Ah, that's so funny. Um what else it's important to point out about this match. Triple H was the heel technically in this match, right?
yeah, so this was WrestleMania 22, 1 year after John Cena won his first WWE Championship, and that was against JBL, right? No,
I don't remember.
who did he win his first? Yeah, it was against JBL. I
Okay.
remember that feud. I remember that feud, and then he changed the title from the WWE title to the spinner. Yeah, so it was 1 year. So we're not even a year into this what you call ugly WWE Championship title. Um, but yeah, he comes out with a gangster outfit, all in this long coat, and he looks like wearing the coat like just gonna be a streaker, right? And open it up, and there's gonna be nothing under there except for his title covering his, you know what? And no, he opens up the coat, he pulls out this big ass freaking gun, and play
Mm-hmm.
gun, whatever, shoots it up in the air, and yeah, it was an interesting gimmick, but between these two guys, they put on a what I think was a social match, right, compared to all the other matches we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It finished off kind of lackluster with the submission. We
Yeah.
had Triple H tap out, which was the he had tapped out 2 years prior at WrestleMania 20, the same way in the middle of the ring against Chris Benoit, where he tapped out, and that's when Chris Benoit won his first ever world title.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena defeated him 2 years later to have him tap out again in the middle of the ring, and where he retained the WWE Championship.
Yeah, interesting. No, this match was really good because it was like a split crowd. Like for some reason, Triple H was getting cheered during this match, and that's how good this match was because John Cena and Triple H had the crowd hooked since the match started. That they wanted the crowd wanted to see Cena win. you would think everyone would cheer for Cena since Triple H was a big bad heel, but that wasn't the case. But this match was really exciting after all, and this was also I don't know if you probably mentioned this already. This was first John Cena's first WrestleMania main event ever. This WrestleMania 22, which uh, which was a great moment for Cena because he won it by submission, and he retained it, right, because John Cena was a champion at this time.
Yes.
So what a way to get a big WrestleMania moment, your first one versus Triple H for the title, and you make the game tap out. So one hell of a moment, one hell of a pay per view. Um, yeah, this whole pay per view, besides maybe like the casket match, the opening match, the bra and panties match or whatever you want to call it. Every single one of these matches, this is a must see pay per view for wrestling fans to go back and watch it, right?
Absolutely. Especially the Edge and Mick Foley match. Whew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely, dude. But yeah, that was the WrestleMania 22. Anything else that we might have missed that you want to add about this before we get out of here?
Not about WrestleMania 22, but I remember the cash in that RVD did,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and it was the reason why I can't remember is because that he announced that he was cashing in, and it became the ECW one night stand against John Cena.
That's the one where they did in the old Philly arena where John Cena was getting booed out of the arena.
Yeah, then he lost, and that's
Right.
why it was a cool cash in.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that match. I remember the reaction that John Cena was getting, but I forgot that it was like it had to do with like the money in the bank. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Hmm.
right on, Soto. That was yeah, man, I learned a lot about this WrestleMania 22. So thank you for that, man. I had a lot of fun. Um,
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on. That was a lot of fun.
yeah,
I would love to do more of these. Talk about any other moments. Again, I chose this WrestleMania because it meant a lot to me because of Rey Mysterio. And although it was a shorter match for him, it was the very first world title for a man of his size. It just meant a lot, right? Um, John Cena has pushed never give up, and for the little man to come out on top for a world title and from San Diego, it definitely meant a lot to me.
yeah, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take you up on that, dude. Got to do this again soon. And before we get out of here, tell the people where they can find you.
Of course, once again, I am Soto619. If you want to catch any sort of Raw, SmackDown, WEPLE recaps or previews, I do post them on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Soto619 or Soto619 Wrestling. So you can find me there. I'm always on.
Right on. And my name is Edgar. I'm the host of Snug Wrestling. Thank you, everyone that was watching and listening, and we will talk soon.
Appreciate you.